How are you? I'm Peter Gibaldi, and I played Frank Costello in Don Q.
I'm Armand, and I played Don Q.
So what a cast we have here. It's unbelievable. And just in case anybody gets mad or I do something that somebody gets annoyed with, I'm gonna go stand by you right over there. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna leave most of the questions up to everybody here. But the one thing I do have to ask you is, like, what inspired you to be like part of this? Because that was great. I loved it. Every part of this, all the actors were absolutely fabulous. You could hear a pin drop in the room here. And so what were some of the things that really inspired you to do?
Well, when Michael and Claudio came with a script that was a work in progress that we discussed for weeks and weeks, the idea of this character based on Cervantes' Don Quixote, what appealed to me about the idea, I think, is endemic to something that's happening in society, which is that we are in a period of such tremendous disinformation and dissonance and bad, evil information that Cervantes had Don Quixote take up the sword and said, I'm gonna go to war to eradicate evil over his beloved Dulcinea. But in Don Q, this is a man who is actually deeply affected by the media, as I feel all of us now are victims of incredible dissonance. I don't know about you, but I read the news for an hour and a half every morning. I'm almost depressed to go through the rest of the day. So my point is that what I loved about the idea they had was that it really is, I mean, Don Q is in a way a symbol of a lot of the way American people feel and also get confused about, because he looks back at the old traditions of the mafia saying, if I have to resort to combat evil with evil, I'll do it. What we eventually learn is that he really does have a soul and a real moral compass, and that he is trying deeply to eradicate evil, although, because he's losing his mind, he is a victim of this incredible confusion that I think is pandemic to all of society. That's my own opinion. I mean,
he got it right, obviously. So he's actually, obviously, I think is one of the most committed actor in the world, this guy, and it's like unbelievable, you know? Like, if it was for him, he will shoot still now more scenes of Don Q, you know? It's like his creative process never stops, you know? So that was like a pleasure.
So if you, I have to ask, if, you know, how does anybody, and anybody can answer this question, how did it feel being here in Asbury Park, being part of the Garden State Film Festival? Obviously, I have to say, being part of Monmouth County, since I'm one of the leaders of Monmouth County. How does it feel being around here?
How does it feel? Amazing. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, except the crazy wind that you guys got here. Everything's fine. Yeah, everything's beautiful. Thank you so much for having us here.
So is there anybody in the audience that would like to ask any questions? Come on, somebody has to. Oh, all right.
Hey, Claudio, is the B-roll at the beginning of the film where the intro scene is that real footage that you just walked around Little Italy and that interaction with everybody? Hi, sorry. Is that footage in the very beginning, like, did you just take a day where you were really just walking around and meeting people? Because the emotion with Armand, with everybody, you can feel it's so real. It feels like it's real footage you shot almost like behind the scenes instead of staging it with everybody. It felt so good to see that.
Talking about the San Gennaro feast, right?
Yeah, yeah. But even the interaction with Armand just walking around, it's hard to hear in here from over there. But yeah. Like in the beginning, was that staged and scripted, or did you just kind of loosey-goosey
Okay,
walk
so
around?
like the idea was to obviously the Little Italy is one of the main characters of the film, you know. So I live there, and I really love the neighborhood. And half of the people that you see in the movie is like people playing themselves, the real business owner, the real restaurant owners, or people that they live there. So the idea was to insert this production into an alive neighborhood without staging it too much. So as I know personally the organizer of the festival, they knew that we were going to shoot like this film, and they asked me, oh, while you guys doing this, do you think Armand Asante would love to come on the floats and things like that? And I said, I don't think it's a good idea. You know, like it's a little bit cheesy to ask. But then I thought, I had an idea, and I called Armand and I said, Armand, you know what? Why don't we do this, but you are on characters? So you go there as Don Q, and it's actually part of the movie. And straight away, he loved the idea, he committed, and that's what we did, you know, right? It was a crazy time.
So, and I have to ask, I guess one of the questions, I guess, towards Doc here, because obviously everything's about the dollars. Was there like a budget? Did you adhere to the budget? Did you go over the budget there? Who would be able to answer that question?
We would never tell you what the budget was, but we can definitely tell you that with the budget we had, we overachieved. That's what I can
That's
tell you.
great news, great news. So is there anybody else? Sure.
We got one in the back here, Tom.
Got one in the back? Up here. Okay. Oh. I'm just gonna go there first.
How you doing, everybody? First, I want to say congratulations. Fantastic work, everybody. I know it's a big accomplishment, a big feat to get this stuff done, and it's up there and way to go. One question I have is, what was one of your biggest challenges in making your films? This is to everybody. And how did you overcome that?
I can answer it for somebody else. I want to also, like maybe the cinematographer talked about, but from my side, the only challenge was the time. Because every day it was such a creative group that, you know, like everybody every day had new ideas. So we went to production with a budget, and some days we ended up shooting like 10 days more because everybody was coming up with so many good ideas that we was adding scene. That was the only challenge, time for me.
I think one of the big challenges of shooting a film like Dom Q is coming into it with an expectation of being able to control things. As a cinematographer, one likes to be able to, you know, control light and control what's in the frame and so on and so forth. But the situation was a different one. And working with an actor like Mr. Asante, who's volcanic, absolutely. Moving all over with this energy that is just hard to follow, and so that's what the challenge was. It was really being able to just keep him in the frame in a way that would make the story work, and also letting go of my ego of being able of controlling the situation, and then, you know, I think the work speaks for itself. It's a, you know, it's a wonderful film. I feel like, so that's how I feel about it.
For Mugshot, I'd say the trickiest thing was actually coming up with the idea. I set myself a challenge of writing a 90-second short and then thought for months. Once I actually got the idea, everything actually happened quite quickly. I got it written down and then pulled the team together. So yeah, for me it was like getting started, I guess. That was the toughest thing.
You have a question here?
Sure, your question?
Well, first I just wanted to say thank you to Garden State Film Festival. This was really great. And the fact that you put a feature film and then you allowed these young, inspiring artists to present their work too, the short film and the animated film. And what a great surprise to see Armand Asante in person. But anyway, I just wanted to say to the other two new artists, how did it feel to be here to present your first film at the film festival, and then to the animated film? What was your inspiration behind that with the telephone and the animated thing in Lost and Found?
Is that question for me, new artist? Okay. All right, so I was homeless living in a homeless shelter in New York City, and I got a couple of bucks from a friend. I went in to eat at a restaurant. I saw Claudio, another actress from the set. Claudio's there with Armand. I'm like, oh my God, it's Armand, right? Right? So I don't say anything. I just try to remain cool. And one of the actresses sits at my table and says, hey, do you mind? And she takes some of my wine. I said, sure. And then she goes, he tells her, he's not with us. He's not on the crew. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. You look like an actor. I said, I'm a singer. So Claudio says, sing something for me. And I sing a little bit of opera, you know, Te voy a ver, right? I sing opera. He says, what are you doing for the next 3 weeks? I said, nothing. And he said, you want to be in a movie? Be here tomorrow morning. And I was like, great. And since then, my life has changed dramatically. So how does it feel to be here with Armand Asante on the same stage? Someone who is one of the most underrated actors that I've ever known, the best Gotti, okay, since Mambo Kings, since everything, since any role that he's played, he's amazing. But more importantly, and this is really important, I'm glad I get to say this, he has treated me like a brother. He has surprised me. You know when you meet somebody famous and you think, hey, I'm just glad to breathe the same air? And he has treated me with kindness and has always been such a gentle, well-spoken gentleman around everyone that I've seen, and he is an amazing person. So I just hope he gets all the accolades that any actor could ever get. And thank you.
I just want to thank my lovely mother for asking that question. Really great. My number one fan, ladies and gentlemen. How's it feel to be here? It's great. It's awesome. I'm a Jersey boy through and through. I'm from Essex County, so how's it feel to have my first film in the Garden State Film Festival? It's awesome. I can't complain whatsoever. The most challenging thing about making my film, all of it, you know. It's the first time I really made a film of this caliber. Everything that you see on screen is handmade. I made all the puppets. I made all the backgrounds in 3D and everything. I give a lot of the voice to them and everything like that. So voice them. It's awesome to put like myself into a film and have it be screened here. I couldn't ask for anything more. Anything as a filmmaker, I feel like I just want to share my art with the world. The fact that I get to do that in my home city, New Jersey, it's awesome. I love it so much.
Is there any more questions? Have one right here.
Hi, I wanted to ask about like the nature of playing roles, because right in the movie, Armand, playing a character who's being a mob boss even though he's not actually, and also there's Vincent Pastore playing Vincent Pastore, playing a mobster who then decides to be a mobster and ends up getting stabbed by a real mobster. And I'm wondering, what was the notion of bringing Vincent Pastore in, but also like the way in which we play roles being an inspiration?
There's a funny story about Vincent Pastore because basically when Armand jumped on board, he helped a lot, obviously, like casting the other actors, okay? So Vincent Pastore, originally we was thinking about making him play Rocco, the bad guy, So he came to a meeting in Little Italy and we had lunch. And basically, we speak about the role, we try the line, how we do it like this. I don't want to do it like the Sopranos, so we're gonna do it like this, okay. We finish lunch, we walk all Little Italy, and everybody stops him and start to do picture and start to do autographs. So he watched me say, you want me to play the actor, right? You want me to play the guy? Yes. So he switched role like this, like after the meeting, basically. About Armand, of course, only him can answer this.
Well, I mean, as I said, I think that he's very much a victim of his delusions. And, sadly, even in the entertainment field today, we're affected. And I feel that when I say that, I mean, we're deeply affected by films. Everything we see is shaping our perceptions. And what we have to really be aware of in society, which Don Q finally, because he really does have a moral soul, is that we cannot allow this dissonance that is overtaking politics, the media, everything is monopolizing our consciousness to a very, very negative place. And I feel that that was my motivation in this character, is that he himself, as bright as he is, as educated as he is, and is exactly what Cervantes was saying about Don Quixote. Don Quixote had studied these very negative romantic books about chivalry, about knighthood, about fighting, about defending women. And they were nonsense for that time in literature. Cervantes was protesting. He was protesting this negative influence in literature. So the book itself, the story of Don Quixote, in a sense, is a protest. What are we doing? Why are we becoming victims of this bad conscience, this bad consciousness? So I mean, that to me is what I thought was an adorable twist and in a way, he really is. He's in love with the idea. The ideals of the mafia have to do with code, have to do with honor. But as we saw in the 60s and 70s, it all dissolved real quick. So he himself, he's a victim. That's what appealed to me, is that he himself, as good a soul as he is, he's a terrible, terrible victim of what's happened to his own neighborhood, his society. He gets distorted. He thinks the skateboarders are going to take over. You know, it's about delusion, which is what Don Quixote is about.
Thank you. We have one right here. We'll take the last one. Is that, we got time?
Yeah, the next block starts at 9. I don't want you to be late, but yeah, I want more.
Sure.
I guess. I just wanted to congratulate all three.
That's one of our editors, and the special effect guy. And he's the one that make people disappear.
Yeah.
Remember?
Thank you, Claudio. Congratulations to all three films. Really great work, everybody. My question was for Armand. Did you do anything outside of reading the horrors of what's going on in the world every day to get yourself into character? I mean, what really drove you to become this crazy person? Obviously, that's not you all the time.
You know, I just study the story, and I try to put the story in my DNA. And that's really the story of my life as an actor. But I mean, I think your principal obligation as an actor is to embody what the authors are trying to convey. And I come out of a theater. I have no other process but my own stage theater process. To me, everything is theater. But when I get involved even in a film, it's really about really putting the ideas that the author is trying to convey the most. I was trained by a brilliant woman who believed that if an actor understands the issues, the real issues that an author is trying to convey, emotion is a result. It's not something you have to investigate or you have to invent. If you understand the issue fundamentally in your heart, your emotions will come naturally. And that's really my process. And I use it for almost everything I do. I have no other process but what the real theatrical process demands.
We got one question here.
Just more of a comment that maybe you can expand on. A lot of great scenes, a lot of fun scenes. I loved how the fan blade shadow turned into the windmills. So maybe you can expand on some more of that. What was the most fun scenes for you to shoot?
Honestly, for me, everything. It was like one of the best experiences of my life. It was like such a fun every scene. And also like one of my favorite scenes is when Pete, that is playing Costello, is like harassing like Don about like the Chinese mob and all this stuff, and he keeps harassing. and Armand takes the baseball bat and hit him, and then he puts him in the rug, roll him in the rug, but then, you know, like that's one of my favorite, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of like that one too.
And for the windmills specifically, so going to set, I was always sweating because I was, you know, anticipating what will Claudio come up with next, what is he going to ask me to do, how am I going to have to technically figure out how to do what his imagination is. So it's always a game of catch-up. And for that, specifically the windmills, he had this idea from the beginning. He's like, I really care about this shot. I really care about this specific setup. How can we do it? Obviously, we were shooting in a real apartment in Little Italy, a little gem of an apartment. And you said you recognized it. It almost felt like your grandparents. Yeah, it's full of tchotchkes everywhere. So imagine, like, just going around trying to light, putting a C-stand around, like being scared of knocking all this irreplaceable stuff, obviously, right? But anyway, so we had to figure out a way, and the story is actually, it's pretty crazy. So we had to figure out a way of projecting those shadows onto the walls, right? So we established those two fans, and so now the reverse, we had to get those shadows on the walls. Now we asked our lovely art department to make us cutouts of windmills with an actual spinning wheel, or, you know, with the blades, spinning blades. Now the problem was, how are we going to light this? We ended up using some ellipsoidal lights, and we projected the shadow there. Now the problem was, the schedule was so tight, and we were working with a very young but eager crew, and a little mishap happened. You know, I say, it's not my quote, but I say that there are two kinds of people in the world. The people who have lost digital data and people who will lose digital data. So what happened is the reverse on Santo, it disappeared. So we had to fake that shot, and you helped us out, so you could actually answer that question. So we actually had to shoot the fans on green screen and shoot Santo with the couch, I believe, on green screen, and then we had to take a plate of. So it was a whole thing. But you know, you appreciated the shot. The shot works in the end. You know, those who it's a non so subtle.
Now they're gonna see it differently.
You know, it's not so subtle reference to Cervantes, but you know. It's you know, it's part of the film, and I guess it's part of the magic of what the film is. Yeah.
So got one over there.
Sorry.
One last question over there. Yeah, take that.
Okay.
Make that the last question there.
Can I make a comment? Is there another question?
Yeah. I got one right here. There was a lot of reference to his money and where his money was hidden, and whether it was some of the soldiers who referenced the money, but everybody's looking for the money. And then Jerry found the money. So my question to Jerry is what happened to the money?
Well, it was a very tough decision. I had to leave it there. I guess talking about a little bit about my character, and we'll probably answer your question, would be to say I'm always looking for approval from my father. My father had gotten out of prison, and I was always like a lost dog trying to seek approval from him. Never happened, and he would always kind of, you know, throw me to the dogs and throw me under the bus every chance he got, publicly humiliate me and call me Fredo and the rest of it. So, you know, once I found the money, I heard him calling for Fredo downstairs, and I was like, you know what? Sorry. Because my character has redeeming qualities. I have a moral compass, as Armand was saying, and I had to do the right thing. And that's pretty much why he gave the money.
I think you had something you want to add?
Yeah, a very strong message in Don Quixote, the novel, and in our film, Don Q. Something that we can take from this is that it doesn't matter what age you are at. You know, I think Don Quixote in the book was 52, which was considered, you know, rather old then. But as we go through life, sometimes we hit snags, or life gets to be drudgery or boring, and we have the power within us
like Don Q to go out into the world, to get off the couch and do things. So this is a life lesson that you can practice every single day, really. When you're feeling down, you can go out, be with people, whatever you like to do, shoot pool, shoot basketball, watch movies, exercise. So we have this inner flame, but we need to access it. And this is something that really was very deeply part of me in the process of making this movie. And that's just what I wanted to say.
Well, I want to thank each and every one on behalf of the Garden State Film Festival. You know, I think I can speak for myself when I say this, that, you know, sometimes you just turn on the TV, you go see a film, you go see a movie, you just take it for granted that it's, wow, you know, look what they did. But all that back scene stuff that occurs and all the challenges that occur that, you know, we heard some of them tonight, is amazing. And that's why it's so special to be able to sit and talk to each and every actor that was part of that there. And so on behalf of, like I said, the Garden State Film Festival, on behalf of Monmouth County, which obviously, you know, I'm a very big part of, I want to thank you, I want to congratulate you. Guys are phenomenal, and I hope we see you back here in Monmouth County again. Thank you.